As I strut through my 50s as a desire led woman, I have three principles I adhere to. One is I'm here to love deeper. And the second one is to lead bolder. And the third one, which is what I'm going to zero in on today, is to live without apology. So I'll maybe highlight that. I'm here to live without apology. So as one looks at that in 2026, one might say, well, that's easy. That's no problem. I do that anyway. And yet, what I've discovered and continue to discover, there are many nuances to that. And women for centuries have been brainwashed to believe that we need to apologize for our very existence. And you would have thought in this day and age, we don't need to do that anymore, or women don't do it. But from my observations of moving to a different country, I'm like, oh, it's alive and well here. It's thriving, the fact that women apologize over and over again. So I'm going to circle back to that in a minute. And what I want to share with you before I dive in a little bit deeper, and hey, welcome to the Star Monroe Show with my glorious self, Star Monroe, is a piece of history that I stumbled across years and years ago, and it's always stuck with me. And so I'm going to take us back to 2350 BC. And this was the Sumerians, and they had a couple of laws around that referred to women. One was about the number of husbands that the woman may have. But the law that I'm focusing in on, because this, history is part of us. We carry a generational lineage. It lives within our DNA because we're part of the collective unconscious. So the law that I really struck me back then, and it still strikes me now, is it said that a woman who speaks out of turn to a man will have her teeth smashed by a burnt brick. So this has been going on for centuries, as I said. This kind of dismissing, this denial of the feminine, full stop. And I truly believe, to really stand in reverence of who we are in this present day and age, we need to honor and acknowledge the history that women have navigated through, because the burning of the witches is exactly the same. Women who spoke out of turn, and they weren't witches, they were normal women. There's a word for them, viragos, women that were inconvenient, that spoke their mind, they were burnt at the stake. So as for us to really stand in reverence of who we are, to understand how far we have come and yet still how far we've got to go, it is well worth looking back through history and understanding at so many points that women were taught that they did not have the same power as men. Now, you may get angry around this. You may have lots of different feelings around that. And that is for you to go and explore. I know when I first discovered all of this, I did get very, very angry. I would say that was around 5 or 6 years ago. And that tapped into my female rage. I don't feel that level of rage anymore around this. I'm not saying that this is right by me not feeling rage. I have learned the power and the importance of me processing my rage in healthy ways. And also, that is how I hold myself with my boundaries, how I respect myself, how I trust myself. And also, all of this changes who I am on the internal, so it changes my external world. I've learned to hold myself with more self-respect, more honesty and trust, so I can navigate the world differently. And so I don't tend to have that anger. I don't have a backlog of anger, which is certainly something that I've seen in my life when I've been working with women and also myself. There's a lot of anger because women haven't been taught, well, anger is a really healthy emotion. We have to learn how to bow down to its wisdom. And so anger is a sign, most normally, that a boundary has been crossed. And yet, if you're a woman, no shade here, I was the same for many, many years, that I didn't uphold my boundaries. I didn't listen to my body because anger will come through the body. Then, of course, we're going to have a backlog of anger, which then turns into resentment and bitterness. It's not a good look on any woman. And so we have to learn how to process that anger, how to move it through our bodies, and continue to do that. And it was interesting. I'm going off all different tangents, and this will all come together beautifully. That I just got off the phone. I don't know whether you heard my phone text, bing, a minute ago. And I just booked in a 6-week course to learn Aikido because I know I have this energy that if I do not channel it correctly, in a correct way for my body, that I can get, that it can turn into anger, that it can turn into this energy which is uncontrollable. So I have been looking, one of the reasons why I moved to the States is because I could take up new hobbies. One of the reasons why I want to do Aikido is because I want to learn how to channel my energy better. I want to learn how to really come from a place where I'm internally resourced over and over again. So, yes, the female rage is something to listen to, your rage, your anger. Underneath anger is normally pain. Is normally pain and sadness. And so I know from my journey, I couldn't process my anger until I was ready to feel the pain that sat underneath it. And even now, life is a continuous healing journey. That's how I look at it, as a continuous healing journey, as I choose to be conscious, that I will continue to build the capacity to be able to sit with my pain, and so I can process it, so I don't have to run or numb from it. So this ties us back to living without apology, because where I'm guiding us into is to, and I know I talked about it in one of my first episodes when I came back online, is when I say we're here to live without apology, it's not coming from a rebellious energy. And that rebellious energy will be coming from the rebel. And that rebel is normally wounded. And it normally, I hear it all the time. I see it online all the time when we're like, well, fuck you, I've had enough, or I don't care anymore, or I'm going to do whatever I want to do. That's wounded rebel. That's wounded rebel. That's not an energy I am moving through life with anymore, and it's not sustainable. I truly believe it's part and parcel of the journey, because a lot of women go from being good girl, people pleasers, straight over to being a bad bitch, and that invokes that fuck you energy. But it's not sustainable, and you're going to piss everybody off, and you won't learn when you're there. You won't learn how to communicate. You won't be heard. People will shut down when you have that energy. And I don't know whether you've noticed this, and I certainly noticed this when I was moving through the world like this, that fuck you energy. And so it's useful to note that there's an energy behind that bad bitch, but that's why I say we've got to learn how to channel it so it pours back into us, we can move it through us, and so we can live without apology from a really grounded, rooted, reverent place. So that brings me on to women need to stop apologizing. We've got to stop apologizing, because how the fuck can we live without apology if we're always apologizing? Just roll that around for a moment. And I want to bring in some real world observations of me moving from different countries over the last 5 years. So, for the majority of my life, I lived in Britain. Do they call it Britain, or was it England? I don't know. I lived in Britain, and then I moved to Turkey, and now I'm living in the States. And so I thought that apologizing all the time was a really British thing. And because I lived in Turkey for such a long time, it's like whenever I went back to England, I was like, God, everyone says I'm sorry all the time. And sorry for no reason. Like, you'll be walking around the grocery store, or you'll be walking around a clothes shop, or I don't know, you might be in a pub and people are just, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. And it's 99% of the time women. And at first, because it's such a pattern in women have been brainwashed to apologize for their very existence. Unless you challenge this, unless you question it, you are walking around apologizing for your very existence, for not even doing anything wrong. So that's when I first started to notice it, because I lived in Turkey. No one apologizes in Turkey. No one does. It's a completely different attitude when you live in Turkey. People are much more assertive. Yeah, they're a little bit arrogant. They can be rude. They can be abrupt. They don't queue up. They don't line for anything. They just go out there and do their thing. And I really enjoyed that energy in Turkey. I loved it. I'm pretty abrupt myself. I'm to the point. And so I really relished being around people like that. And I loved listening to Turkish people as well, because they were really animated. And, I understood a little bit of the language, but I couldn't understand a full conversation. But I love listening when they talk to each other, because it felt like they were just arguing all the time, but they're not, they're passionate. And I've just come back from a vacation in Mexico, and it's the same in Mexico. When they're talking to each other, they're like, they're really animated, and it's just a joy to listen to. And so if I come back to Turkey, yes, so what I believe I learned in Turkey, that it was really a good thing for me to be assertive. And I really had to learn how to be assertive pretty fucking fast as well, being a solo woman living abroad. Because here's the thing, I don't know whether you've ever noticed this in your life. When you're vulnerable, when you have any kind of little neediness, people will take advantage of you. People will. They can sniff that shit out, because we're energetic beings. People can sniff that shit out, and they will take advantage of you. So I learned pretty quick. I was like, oh no, my assertiveness is great. And I truly believe that's where I really embodied my villainesque archetypal energy. I really kind of like embrace being the villain. And when we're the villain, that really challenges us to be the villain in other people's eyes, which really grates up against all our conditioning about not upsetting people, about causing a ruckus. I mean, like, cause a fucking ruckus. We only get one life. And so this is why I love doing the work that I'm here to do, because it is about getting and guiding women to take different action steps. And only in taking different action steps are you going to turf out that conditioning that's inside. And then we can start to look at that conditioning, create a different relationship with that conditioning. And when I say conditioning, it's the wiring, it's the patterns of being the good girl, the people pleaser. So you can't get rid of it. Here's the thing, everyone thinks, oh, I'm going to be a bad bitch and then I'll never be a good girl. No, 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 no. You are the sum of all of you, and you have to create a safe environment for all these parts to live. Because if you did dismiss your good girl or people pleaser, you go, oh, I don't need you anymore, you've got me into loads of trouble, or the wounded rebel, I'm never going to be the wounded rebel. What that part says is like, yeah, all right, yeah, okay, I hear you. You're trying to get rid of me. All right. And then there's a great quote by Joe Didion. It's like, all the parts that we've dismissed will suddenly come rushing at your door at 4 a.m. in the morning, going, excuse me, you're not taking any notice of us. And so what they do is they cause havoc. They cause havoc within you. And you might know this as self-sabotage. You might know this as, I've got limiting beliefs. No, it's none of those. It's your inner parts that you have not created a deeper relationship with. And so if I pull this back into my work is about seducing you into having a deeper connection with your body, your wisdom, and your desires, so that you don't trip yourself up as you are stepping out and into your highest timeline as a desire-led woman. So let me circle back to the apologizing again. So, yeah, I thought the apologizing was a British thing. It wasn't in Turkey. Really relished that. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Loved the fact that I don't really speak the language, so I didn't really get immersed in anyone's worlds. Then I hop, skip, and jump and find myself in Florida, the United States of the Americas. And as I'm navigating my new life here and I'm out and about and I'm kitting out my apartment, buying my furniture, buying clothes, buying food, so I'm out and about. I'm like, what the fuck? And because what I've learned to do is when I'm out and about, I keep myself to myself. My eyes are always looking up at eye level. I am looking around. I am catching people's eyes. I am conscious. I'm awake. I am fucking here. So wherever I am, I'm here. And I'm taking up space. I'm taking up space. Yes, that's what I'm doing. And I do it unapologetically. I do it because I am me and I'm proud to be me. And it's not like, I'm proud to be me like a peacock. It's just like, this is me. And I take up space. And space, when I say take up space, that's an energetic field. That's an aura. So I will walk around. I will claim my space. I will not shrink. I will not hide. I will not slump my shoulders. I will walk around. And what I've noticed is that people apologize so much here. And again, it's 99% women. And I'll give you some examples. Where was I yesterday? I don't know where I was. I was looking for some new dining room chairs. So I was walking around. I was nowhere near anybody as I was walking around. And yet, as I turned the aisle, someone was walking towards me. There was plenty of room. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And this will happen over and over and over again. And no one's bumped into each other. I'm not taking up their space. They're not taking up my space. But as I'm walking and I claim my space, and I don't know whether it is because I'm rifting now. I don't know whether it is because I'm claiming my space or it is because I don't feel the need to apologize every 50,000 seconds for my existence. There's no need for me to apologize. And so what I find is, as well as I walk through the world, is people will move out their way for me. People will move out their way for me and they will say they are sorry to me. I want you to wrap your head around this because this really does go against all the conditioning that women have to be polite, that have to be kind of like, timid, that have to be like, you're just obedient and docile. I don't live like that. I don't live like that. I'm here to take up my space, to live fully in my energy. And so I've been observing this. I think I must be in my 4th month in America. And it happens every time I'm out, every time I'm out. And at no point, because I've been observing, because I don't say anything, because I will hold my space, I will be conscious, I'm away, I'm awake, I'm there. I'm not bumping into anyone, I am not cutting anybody off. And yet, over and over again, people will say sorry. Women will say sorry for no reason whatsoever. And so, again, I want you to roll this around in your mind. And I want you to take this out as a play assignment and practice this week. There's a couple of things in this that when we're sorry, just, because I've been observing them, I'm like, well, I don't even know why you're sorry. Like, I have no idea why you're sorry, why you're saying I'm sorry. I apologize. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Why? Why? And you are literally, because words are spells, telling yourself, I'm apologizing for being me. I'm apologizing for my existence over and over and over and over and over and over again. So I'm going to hand this back to you. There's a couple of things in here. One, go out this week and start to become really observant of how many times you say you're sorry. We cannot change anything until we recognize the pattern. So if we skip to not apologizing, we've skipped a step. And so we need to recognize when we're saying sorry. And then you're going to recognize that over, let's give you a week to practice this. So recognize when you want to say sorry. And sometimes you'll probably say it because it's a pattern within you. And sometimes you're going to be able to catch yourself. This is why I love the quote, between stimulus and response is a space we want to reside there. It's by Viktor Frankl. And so, and other times you're going to be able to catch yourself and not say sorry. And then what I want you to become aware of are the consequences of you renegotiating a new pattern within yourself. Because if you're always saying sorry and now you don't say sorry, what could come up is feelings of unease, or I'm upsetting someone, or I've done something wrong. You need to be able to sit with that. You need to be able to sit with the discomfort. And here's what it means to be a desire-led woman. And when I say desire-led woman, you are led from within. You're led from within. That's your wisdom leading the show. You're here to live your life that makes sense to you. That you're going to have to turf out, I call it that domestication of who you've been taught to be. And so, yeah, there could be uncomfortability with that. Sit with it. There also could be a release, a freedom of not apologizing. Great, carry on. And so this is, you're bringing more awareness around how many times you apologize. And this also goes into, when you're late, don't say you're sorry. Say, thank you for waiting for me. Like, get clever with different ways to say things without apologizing. Because again, I'll go back to the history lesson. This is indoctrinated in us that we don't have a voice, that we apologize, that we've learned to apologize for our very existence. So we're in 2026 and we can do things differently. And also, if you are surrounded by women, maybe daughters, maybe granddaughters, you apologizing for yourself teaches them that they need to apologize for them. It runs through like the cells of our body. It's by osmosis. Other women pick it up. And so as you do this, if you want to kind of heighten this experience, is step into the archetypal energy of the villain. And if you want to dive into this more, then I'll put the link in the show notes. Purchase my mini program, Enter Your Villain Era, because I give you loads of villainesque ideas to play around with so you can show up truly in your power, really owning who you are. But one right off the bat is dress up as a villain. like, make the effort and dress up as the villain, have fun with this, because if you have fun with this, stop apologizing for your very existence. And I can hear some arguments in my head. It's like, well, I'm being polite, but it's like, we don't have to be polite. And I'm not asking you to be rude. I'm asking you to stop apologizing. So watch all the counter arguments that come up with this as well. But to really embody this and have fun, dress up as a villain, as your favorite villain. Because when we learn through having fun, we learn way quicker, and it's really easy to unwind ourselves from patterns that keep us being docile and obedient, and relinquish those so we can really be our fully self-expressed version of ourselves. If you like what I'm saying, and you're like, oh, I like this play assignment, I'm going to go off and do this, then you're going to love Flaunt. Flaunt is my new program. We're starting at the beginning of September, and it's 30 days of flaunts. So I will give you play assignments to do, and your job your mission is to go out there and do them, and to flaunt, to have more fun with life, to experiment with being bolder, more bodacious, more audacious. Get yourself on the wait list. Again, that's in the show notes, because everyone on the wait list gets access to VIP pricing. I'm just thinking if there's anything else. Oh, yeah, there is something else I need to add in before I close down. Well, there's two other things I want to point you to. I have a private podcast called After Hours, which is, I talk much more about my process, about how I think, my reflections, my private life. I don't tend to share a lot of my private life publicly anymore. It's in After Hours. So if you want to get to know me some more, how my brain works, dive into how it really looks to live as a desire-led woman, then come and join me over on After Hours. Again, the link is in the show notes. And then I was listening to someone this week about kind of showing up online. And I have a whole lifetime of stories, of experiences that I have navigated, moved through. And I have talked about writing a book, about my memoirs. And yet, whenever I think about it, because I know how much hard work it's going to be, because I wrote a book last year and that was hard. That was a small book. So to write my memoirs, it's like, oh my God. So I was like, well, you have all this wisdom inside you, and let's create a place to share it. And so over on YouTube, again, the link is in the show notes, I've started a new series where I talk, put the camera on. It's not edited. Do you know what? I am done with over edited stuff. AI can go and fuck itself. I really truly believe if you're a creative, if you're online, what you are really going to shine your light so brightly if you show up authentically without a script, sharing you. I really truly believe that is what we are craving for in a world full of AI. And so I've really had to navigate my relationship with AI, because last year, the year before, I got really hooked on it. And it's taken me a long time to unhook myself from it, and a lot of experiments, but I'm like, no, I'm not using AI to do anything. Nothing about showing up. It's going to be, me writing, and if it grammatically doesn't make sense, if I riffed all over the place, then this is me. This is me. I'm here to be me. And so me showing up as me, I trust that it inspires, encourages you to show up as you. It's taken me a long time to get here. I'm like, this is what I'm good at, being me. And so if I go back to the YouTube, is that I'm recording longer episodes and talking about snippets from my life and how I've navigated things. And it's going to be messy. I recorded an episode earlier today, and I'm already learning things about myself from doing it. And I talked about how I finally stopped drinking. And, I take you through from when I was 11. I wasn't drinking at 11. I started drinking when I was 16. I think, no, 14. I started drinking when I was 14. Oh, I missed that story out as well. And I take you through kind of my 20s when I call them my domesticated years, my 30s, my rock and roll years, my 40s, my unraveling years, and kind of bring you up to speed to where I am now, my desire-led years. Oh, that sounds so good. My 50s are my desire-led years. Wow. And so again, I'm choosing to show up differently. I'm choosing to share my wisdom, to find my process, and I'm only going to find my process by showing up and sharing and talking. And so, if you want to know more about, how I stopped drinking, and again, a little bit more about who I am as a woman at 55, because I've navigated a lot of trials and tribulations to get here, then that is the place. As you dare to live as a 50 plus desire led woman, you know what? I'm going to meet you there.